So today we're focusing on Akbar the Great, which your reading will be. Now, Akbar is going to be the third ruler of the Mughal Empire. We don't really worry too much about his father. Um, Akbar's father is going to die when he's relatively young. Typically, we say 14 is when Akbar started to rule. I've seen as young as 12. I've seen other people say 15. But so I usually hear it at 14. Now, Akbar is going to be considered the great for a lot of reasons. He does the standard Alexander style of being great by conquering a lot of land. He builds a humongously huge empire. He was a huge proponent of the war elephant, and he was one of the ones that really had those innovations like we saw yesterday with the armor plating, sawing off the tusks to put on the swords. I would write down the important stuff here, which of course would be these kind of things right there. Like this whole part is really important down here on the bottom. And so Akbar, he was definitely a military ruler. I mean, he's got a great hat also. We can't forget that. Great mustache. We're going to see lots of great facial hair in this unit. But he is going to be more than just a military ruler. He's going to be fantastic at actually governing, which is really cool. He is going to have a strong central government, so he's going to have a lot of power and authority, but he's also going to be really good at delegating, which means having other people do work. And that's an important thing in being an effective leader, is the idea that you can go and, I can say, Celine, I know you can handle this. I need you to do this job. And then Celine does it well. Say, all right, I know that Blake can do this job. Please do this work for me. And so delegation is an important thing. And so he divides India up into provinces. He puts governors that he could trust in there. And then those provinces were divided up into districts and sub-districts. So he really goes and makes sure that all of India is being governed and ruled well. Which is great, because you have some rulers that just focus on military conquest, and they really don't tend to the needs of the people, because all those people back home, they need to make sure that they're getting food, that they have access to water, roads, transportation, those kind of things. The biggest thing with Akbar, though, and one of the reasons why I truly feel he deserves the title the Great, is he is going to be particularly religiously tolerant. So one of the things is, prior to Akbar, there were special taxes on all citizens that were Hindu, just because they were Hindu. Because remember when we talked about this, the Mughals were different than the Mongols, where unlike the Mongols, where they assimilated whatever religion and culture was in the area they conquered, the Mughals very much kept their Islamic ties. They were Muslim, and they stayed Muslim. And in the beginning, that caused a lot of friction, a lot of tension, because they wanted people to convert to Islam, and people were very happy staying Hindu. Particularly because whereas Islam is very much, and much like other monotheistic religions, like, all right, this is God, and this is how you worship, there aren't other gods, whereas Hinduism is much more accepting and accommodating, and this idea that, Brahman has, so many different facets and manifested in so many different ways that, things like, Buddhism just wound up not taking over, but becoming an aspect. The Buddha became, one of the different aspects and permutations. And so they would feel the same thing about Allah. But Akbar, he didn't push it. He didn't want to push people to conversion. He winds up making it fair for Hindus so that they didn't have to pay extra taxes. He frequently would go and entertain people of all faiths. And he was really interested in trying to figure out what people believed, which I respect a lot about him. Just trying to go, as someone who did not grow up being told what to believe and then came to his own decisions. Akbar was very similar. And Akbar actually winds up going and being the founder of his own faith, Din Ilahi. Now, this religion does not catch on. It's, I don't know if you could find any followers of Din Ilahi today. But what Akbar tried to do to try to remove the tension between Muslims and Hindus, he basically married the two in a faith, which we're actually going to see that done again a little bit later to much more effect. So here's just a cool little excerpt about Akbar. A Mughal emperor of India, Akbar united Indian territory north of the Vidhya range. By the way, you don't have to write this under one empire. His rule is noted for many reforms, including the abolition of slavery, which is fantastic because we should not be enslaving people ever in any circumstance, the development of trade. He was a patron of the arts and encouraged the development of science. Although himself a Muslim, his tolerance for non-Muslims in his empire was remarkable. His enlightened leadership became a model for later Mughal rulers, which unfortunately many of them would not meet up with. So we can see a lot of really good things. So we see the trade, we see administration, patron of the arts, because we always like it when our rulers try to make the world a more beautiful, more enjoyable place. So, he's a pretty good guy. Now, let's get to his son. Oh boy, right? He's the opposite of a daddy. He, oh, I love you guys. I really do. The chat's awesome. Jahangir, basically, where Akbar was pious, Jahangir, his favorite thing, I mean, yes, beautiful facial hair, amazing hat, one of the best hats. I like that hat a lot. Emmy's smile told me right there that she's like, I could see myself wearing a hat like that. You could. He liked alcohol way too much and really liked partying way too much. And we know that that's kind of one of those things that usually does not make a good ruler. Now, thankfully, we don't have anything like when we go back to China where we have wine lakes and meat trees. Hopefully, I got that story last year since we had to do China virtually. Did I get to the wine lakes and meat trees? Sahil says yes, good. Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have that kind of crazy likeness, but still, he focused on that instead of ruling, so he was a bad monarch. He wasn't a very good ruler or warrior either. He doesn't do a lot of military conquest, doesn't win all of his battles. But so one of the things that happens is a new faith came to be called Sikhism, which kind of did the same thing as Din Ilahi, of trying to marry this monotheistic faith of Islam and Hinduism. And this faith actually takes on, there are many people who follow Sikhism today. So with Sikhism, it's going to be monotheistic, so there's one God. But unlike Islam, which has an afterlife, they believe in reincarnation. So just like how with Hinduism have that circle of life and death, Sikhism has reincarnation. And just like Hinduism, the goal is the idea of to stop that, to be one with God again. Now, they don't do any of the Hindu rituals, no pilgrim. There's also Muslim. There's no pilgrimage to Mecca. There's none of the yogas, none of the things that the other people did. It was its new own thing. So Jahangir is going to have real issues with the Sikhs. And he is going to tax them extra just for their faith. He is going to oppress them, throw some in jail, and kill some because of their faith. And obviously, when those people are getting oppressed and killed, they are going to rebel, which makes Jahangir go and oppress them even more. So it was not a good relationship and pretty much a bummer, especially considering how tolerant his dad was and then how intolerant he winds up being. And so that is going to be our focus on the notes today. So we see one incredibly strong ruler, Akbar, who kind of was like, could do it all and was amazing that way. And then we have another ruler who was less than awesome, his son. Do we have any questions on this? I'm ending the recording right now.